Beloved ones, I would love to share with you some of the materials that we love to use in intentional creativity. So I created a little altar of objects that are connected to creativity the way that we do it, because we often include ritual. Each time I'm about to endeavor to create a painting, I set up my workstation with the ingredients that are essential for the project, but also bringing beauty in. You can see I have roses and the fruits of the season, often including things from out in nature. I've got pomegranates and persimmons. I have essential oils, row of rose, and I've got red thread. This red thread is the red thread of our lineage that goes all the way back to the 1930s with the founder of intentional creativity as a thought pattern, Lenore Thomas Strauss. And this red thread was carried to the site in Lofoten, Norway, where there's a sculpture and prayers were offered for our community, the Guilds of Intentional Creatives. So pretty much any intentional creativity altar is going to have red thread and of course scissors. And when you're working with us, whether that's during a call or a live stream or a video, you have your own red thread and you initiate yourself by putting it on your own wrist. So there's a sense of creating a space, and it doesn't have to be divine, but there's still just a sense of order. A lot of times I have something from my teacher, Sue, and this is a color mixing chart she made for herself. And this is something fun that you can do, is to have a small canvas, and when you come across colors and glazes that you like, to use a series of even small canvases to mark out colors that you like. Now, for the past 8 or 10 years since I've been teaching using golden acrylics, I've often mixed them, but many times I also just use them right out of the tube. And yesterday, my teacher's voice came into my mind and said, don't ever use the tube color straight, and especially without glazing over it. So I sort of have a new commitment to myself, that not just to use it exactly as it comes out, but actually to make my own. And this is like a code of her own colors. So I often have something on my altar representing my teacher, and I think of certain students like Rachel Bavis, who works in the social work for child welfare, and she actually brings images of mine and Sue's and red thread and really weaves it. So whatever altar you create, really you want it to reflect what you're working on, and if you're working with others, you want it to reflect some aspect of your care for them as well. But if someone were to walk in and see roses and a pomegranate, they wouldn't necessarily say altar, and so it can also be something that you barely notice at the same time. So let's go a little bit more into the materials. Well, in intentional creativity, we often journey. So consider a simple rattle or a drum or your own voice that you sort of use before you get to your canvas, that you have a moment where you're just being with spirit, entering into another place. It's a big part of the work we do, and all indigenous cultures have rattles and drums. Okay, so now some of the basic materials. You should have a sketchbook, and my sketchbooks are filled with scribbly writings and thoughts and hand-painted pages and different sketches of concepts. Things that I'm working with will appear on the canvas. And so you can just use a journal like this, fill as many pages of your journal as you want to, just be keeping a notebook. Sue would call it the notebook. So have a journal. Also, it's good to have a notepad, just like a yellow notepad, that is for notes that aren't necessarily ones that you're going to decorate or think of in beauty. So more logistical things, art supplies you want to get. In the case of Sue Sellers, our art matriarch, she included the really mundane things with the beautiful things. That's up to you. Watercolor paper. This is 140-pound watercolor paper, and it's rough. And this is a piece of 22 by 30 ripped in half. Almost all the work we do with intentional creativity is going to have a 22 by 30 piece of watercolor paper that is ripped in half, or the full sheet, or in half again. And you can see that there's quite a bit of density to this, and it's because of how it holds paint. So I would suggest in working with us that you have 5 pieces of 140-pound paper on hand, and it's about $5 a sheet, between 5 and 10. It's quality, it takes the paint really differently and works well with watercolor or acrylic. And we often create books like this that include writings, and you can work on these with Sharpies. We love the twin tip Sharpies. And then we also love the white Sharpies, the big jumbos, and the smaller ones that you can work on the darker colors with. We recommend having medium charcoal so that you can do sketching and write your intention on your canvas. This is a sort of a legacy way of working with paint. Any kind of a closed container, they have stay wet palettes. I often use those where there's a sponge and a paper. This is a Huggies container. And what's awesome about these, Sue got us going on these, is that you would just put this, close it, and the paint stays wet. You can also put your paint in the refrigerator. You can use a canvas to put your paint on. Be really creative with your palette. But it's nice, for me, I often use up every bit of paint, almost, that I have. And I just pour out the amount I'm using for that particular step. That's just me, so I don't have a lot of leftovers. And brushes, let's talk about brushes for a moment. This is the classic brush that you get at the paint store, not usually at an art store. This one has been well loved. They're between 50 cents and $1.50. And this one is years old, and it makes perfect strokes for certain kinds. You can also get this at the same store, foam brush in different sizes. You can get both of these in different sizes. Then you want to get a brush called a liner brush. This is a shorter liner brush. And if you don't see one, ask for one, a liner brush. You'll need that for small detail. You're also going to want a round, several rounds. Every time I go to the art store, I buy 1 or 2 brushes, so I build my collection. You're going to want a round. This comes to a point. You're also going to want brushes that are hog hair. And these are often really affordable and are available in rolls of canvas that are at Michael's. And they have this yellow wood shaft, and it's really rough bristles. We call these scrubbies. Very important. And we also have brushes that we call flats. And those are ones like this that you're going to want to use. And these ones you can get in different sizes as well. And then there's the all famous sash. Now, these are available at all kinds of different art stores increasingly. We often get ours in Paris and Italy, but you can find them at Dick Blick and Michael's and other places. But that's the shape of a sash, and this is the heavenly paintbrush. So you're going to want to get some of those. So if all you had was an assortment like this to start, that would be good enough. But the point is to have a couple different sizes for different practices. And sort of besides the point, you might want to have candles to create your space. We also encourage the use of a spray bottle. This is just a regular spray bottle like at the hardware store. And then I use one that has this blue cross on it that Sue put on there. That means I've put something special in it, some holy oil or holy water. And so I have these 2 that I work with. And another medium that we often use is Liquitex gloss medium and varnish. This can be used to paint over your painting when you're finished. Also can be used to dilute paint when you're working with heavier bodies or any. It makes a wonderful glaze medium, although I don't teach that a lot because it just uses a lot of resources that is available. Glitter, those are wonderful. Do not forget about the glitter. Some people are not glitter people. And then I have golden. Now, golden is expensive and it's awesome. And it lasts a long time, especially if you're mindful. If I was only gonna suggest 3 colors that you had to get, one would be a high quality golden titanium white, both heavy body and liquid. Next one would be quinacridone magenta. You cannot mix this color or make this color from other colors, and no other paint brand has it. This is the hot pink of all hot pinks. Top color for me. Another top color that is, if you were going to just get one golden paint, would be quinacridone nickel azo gold. This is what we use for glazing. Another one that is that's more of an amber glaze, that's an orange glaze, transparent red iron oxide. These both come from rocks and stones and earth. These cannot be duplicated, they cannot be like created, and often don't come in other brands, although some are starting to carry them. Another color that I love is the cadmium red, is a really good, solid, sort of true red in this. And then we have teal. This is also a color that is not available in a lot of other brands. So you have I have a materials list for me with other things like phthalo turquoise and the gold. And you're gonna need a rainbow of colors. Clearly, you would just go through the rainbow, like green, gold, but they are expensive. So you can use a lot of craft colors to begin with, and then just build your collection and use the golden colors selectively. And I think that's it. I just wanted to give you a little overview of materials so that you can happily shop your new addiction of art supplies, and that everything that we work with, we treat it as a sacred thing, as something that we are bringing beauty to. And when you are working with others, you create a space for them. You set a place setting for those that you're working with to actually have a sense of space, a sense of beauty before you come and begin to work with your canvas.